Spring is here and I've got plenty of energy ready to explode like a nuclear bomb over the Middle East, and so we blast into another adventure with everyone's favorite super fighting robot. I don't mean to Mega Man flex, but I have played through these games more times than one could possibly count with a third grade education, and at one time considered X4 to be the pinnacle of the series, because I was a dumbass teenager. But as a semi-functional adult with one semi-functional testicle, I can attest that anyone still holding on to that belief due to nostalgia or some silly thing like preference is wrong, and they should be publicly shamed, because once you remove the terrible English dub, it instantly becomes just as forgettable as 5 Onward. You know what's not forgettable? Your first time getting felt up by your friend's older sister. Also Megaman X2. That's the one we're talking about, so let's all grab a seat and get nice and comfy. Really real talk. Originally did want to make an X4 video. That game still kicks ass. Did a full playthrough with Black Zero, cause that version could run faster and I value diversity. Although I wish he wasn't angry all the time. He should smile more. The real problem came down to me deciding to play the Japanese version this run, which at first felt like the smart choice. The opening music is much better in that one. However, the moment you remove all of the terrible voice acting that gets memed to death, you're left with a game that, while still great, has little else to say about it beyond, it's a good game. X2, however, is a little bit special in more ways than one, and I do not mean an extra chromosome, although it does have an extra chip. The CX4 chip, to be exact, created by Capcom to get the most out of the SNES, bringing us cutting-edge 3D graphics never seen before. Look at that shit. And thanks to that awesome, super important, very necessary chip, X2 does not run on my budget Chinese EverDrive. And I am not buying a real copy, because those go for about $200, so fuck me, I guess. Thankfully, Capcom may hate Mega Man with a passion that burns like my piss after a night out with cheap massage parlor whores, but just like said whores, they really enjoy making money. So, getting your hands on one of the many, many collections is quite simple. I've actually got it on PS2, but I ain't about to waste time setting that bullshit up, so yo-ho. Jumping straight on in, gonna skip the how-to, because if you don't know how Mega Man plays, what the fuck are you doing here in the first place? X1, it came out in 1993, good shit, check it out at your local Blockbusters when you get the chance. First of all, they get style points on the title. Every SNES upgrade of a classic game had Super thrown on the front. Super Mario, Super Metroid, Super Your Mom getting beaten in the background while you drown out the noise with Super Castlevania, but Super Mega Man? Get out of here with that bullshit. This is Mega Man X, named after the civil rights leader that inspired the story. Yes, I am completely full of shit, but if you really start to think about it, it actually kinda makes sense. First off, real Mega Man? He's dead. X is not the same guy. It's actually meant to be a secret. No one, and I repeat, no one, is supposed to know X is Mega Man. I'm not trying to be that guy, but there's a real reason I want you to remember that tiny detail for later. You've got a futuristic world where Reploids, all based off of the X design, coexist with humans as house, non-biological entities, mandroids if you will. And there's this whole bit about robot civil rights, and some Reploids get all uppity, so they're labeled Mavericks. If you really want to see it done tastefully, play the Zero series instead. This game was made in the 90s. Sigma, whose name I cannot say with a straight face nowadays due to internet culture, becomes the de facto leader of the rebel group and is basically the return villain for every game. X teams up with Zero to take on Sigma's robot masters, along with Vile. Zero dies, but the world is saved. 8 out of 10. Play the remake on PSP. That version gets a 9.5. No condom. This one picks up 6 months later. X is cleaning up the stragglers when a new threat known as the X-Hunters show up. First in the shadows, but they very early on introduce themselves. Long story short, they've got Zero's parts, and are working on a way to bring him back as a weapon. That's no good, so you gotta get the parts back while dealing with their squad. A cool little detail I didn't really get when I was a kid is the different dialogue display speeds used to give a bit more personality to the villains. Aguile is super fast cause that be how he fights. Violine is slow, cause he's a dumb brute, and Sergei's is Dr. fucking Wily. Half of you probably just said, yeah, no shit, and the other half said, This is because of a terrible lazy translation team. I'll give you the simple TLDR. Dr. Wily built Zero. No one except Sergei's knows how to build the new brain chip. In the Japanese version, everyone uses the word Reploid. Sergei's uses the old world term robot. Everyone in the modern world calls X X, but Sergei slips up and accidentally calls him Rockman before catching himself. Enough said, I think you get it. So all of these games have an order, mostly everyone gets that. But this one has a little curveball it throws at you around stage 3 that's still kind of fun. However, I did start out doing the same thing I always do, hitting Wired Sponge followed by Wheel Gator. And I accidentally learned that I've been playing this game wrong my entire life. Thanks to a handy little publication known as Nintendo Power, I'd always been under the impression that grabbing the arm upgrade required the jump dash, and to my surprise, I was able to just jump up and grab it first try. So now I feel kinda retarded because that upgrade immediately drops the difficulty of the game significantly. Although, real talk, this game was never all that hard in the first place. I'd actually always considered it to be the easiest in the series, or at least in comparison to the first one. But according to YouTube, it's supposed to be super difficult, right up there next to Lion King, which again, no. Are you special or something? And weird enough, I always remember 4 being kinda hard, but then when I played through it, it was incredibly easy as well. So is like 3 supposed to be the hard one? Cause I'm not about to pretend 5 and onward are real games in the series, so let me know what you think in the comments. The armor itself may also be a big reason this one's my fave. As you usually see, it comes down to X2 and X4 being the 2X faves, with 4 slightly edging it out with the fans, and when it comes down to power scaling, I kind of agree. There's a reason why that version stuck around so long. But in context to its own game, I'm still gonna say 2 is better. It can't do as much, but what it does right.
Except for the search ability, that shit sucks.
True dat, my home skillet. But that Vegeta-inspired final explosion attack? Pretty awesome. That should be in every game. And while we are on the subject of suicide, what's up with that? I don't mean in real life, that part I get, the world sucks, but I mean when it comes to getting power-ups in this game. There just seems to be a lot of get the new part now, jump to your death like scenarios in this game. Can other people see this, or am I just reading too far into it? Let me know your feelings on suicide down in the comments. Music, it's an A+, you can hear it in the background right now. And several tracks reappear in later games down the line, getting a sweet upgrade from their original MIDI renditions. Bubble Crab's remake is a personal fave from the series. The bass line be sick, and the new timing change-ups fit it perfectly. The best upgrade, obviously, is the Dragon Punch. And I'm not gonna lie, this is the only reason I did this playthrough. Only unlocked it 1 time as a kid, practiced it maybe 2 to 3 times, and then got hit. End of story. So in this run, I did a bit of a can you beat all of the bosses using only the Dragon Uppercut sort of deals. And the obvious answer is, yeah, no shit, I hate those videos, please off yourself. But there actually is a tiny bit more nuance to it than just running up to the bosses and hitting the button prompt. You legit have to think about things like invisibility frames and your hitbox, almost as if you're actually playing Street Fighter. If you rush in and land chip damage, you'll most likely take a hit yourself, instantly ending the match since you need full health to do the attack in the first place. So with many of the enemies, you need to set up a counter, or at least wait until they are jumping before you attack. This of course leads to the coolest thing about the Dragon Punch, being your match with Sigma feeling like a throwback to fighting Vega in Street Fighter 2. You time those uppercuts perfectly with his jump-ins, and it just feels amazing. You may even come a little, but then you take on Sigma's final form, and it looks like low-budget Star Fox, and just shrivels right up. Every time. Maybe I need pills or something.
I mean, you are getting pretty old, dude. What are you now, like 63, 65, 80?
Phoning it in a bit again, my bad. I was actually really enthusiastic to make these last few vids, and YouTube just kind of fucked it up for us, which is why we are slowly transing over to Rumble. Yes, it may sound like an awkward match, but I currently feel that they show more respect to their users than this site does, and being the underdog is not that bad. It means they have to try harder. Y'all know I get that. So, thank you to everyone who's going on this little journey with us. Not sure what the next destination is, but we are closing in on the anniversary of one of the terrible games that I made, and it came out on the perfect day to absolutely rip it apart. So stay tuned for that. As always, thank you to everyone who watched, and another thank you to everyone supporting by grabbing up those adopts, and we will catch you in the next one.